This is part of a video series I have prepared for weaving a Kilim. You can find all the videos on my website, bofande.com. Up to now, we have added the warps to the loom, added the heddle stick, and have woven a Kilim as a foundation to start our piece. One of the critical parts of weaving is to keep the edges, or what's called the selvage, straight as you continue to weave. I am using a couple of thick pieces of paper to mark the distance between my right and left warps from the loom itself. You could also use a ruler, but this way you don't have to remember any numbers, you just look for your mark. I will periodically check both edges to make sure it remains close. If you pull too hard on the weft, it will pull the selvage in, and if not addressed, it will affect the end product. As you become more experienced, it will get easier to get it right. Please know that long-time weavers can also mess up if they lose their concentration. This is a good time to take care of any unevenness in your weft. It will help keep your Kilim as straight as possible. I will be using 6 strands of Appleton crewel yarn for the wefts on my Kilim. Please remember to buy the best quality materials you can afford. All of your time and attention given to weaving your piece will not compare to the extra few dollars. You can find more details on the materials section on my website. In another video, I will provide more detail on design and colors. This video is intended to show the general technique of weaving a Kilim. Just a refresher on how the heddle stick operates. When the shed stick is up, it creates this shed. You can pass the weft tool through it. When the shed stick is down, it creates another shed to pass the weft tool. One other thing, make sure the strings that make up the selvage are out of the way and behind the shed stick. Here's a refresher from another video on how much weft to add while weaving. There is a right amount of weft material which can be added to the warps for it to look right. If you put too much weft material, the piece will be wavy. If you don't put enough weft material, then it will get stiff and not look right. How much weft is good enough is something you need to figure out on your own. You'll know when it looks right. The thickness of your warp and weft material and how far apart the warps are changes what is the right amount of weft. The best way that I have found is to pay attention to the angle which is created by the weft. As you change this angle, you are changing the amount of weft material being added to the warps. Make sure not to pull tightly on the edge, as it will force the piece not to be straight. Start with a 45-degree angle to begin with and see how it does. If there is too much material, then reduce the angle. If there's not enough weft, then increase the angle. Keep experimenting and be patient. Once you figure this out, it'll become natural each time. Again, please be patient. Once you figure out the right angle for your piece, you need to stay consistent as you go across the loom. You can start from the left or right. It is entirely up to you. I'm starting from the right. We'll start by adding a row of wefts. I'm starting by adding a small piece first. The next row will lock it in and make it secure. Make sure the shed stick is either all the way up or down. It really does not matter where you start. Make sure you alternate the heddle stick each and every time. So if the heddle stick was down last row, then the next row it will need to be up, and vice versa. Pass the weft tool as shown with the half loop on the right so that you can loop a piece of the material and drag across to the other end. Do not pull too tight on the weft material. Otherwise, it will pull the selvage in and your piece won't look right. You need to periodically check the distance of the selvage and the loom itself. I'm using the comb tool to help settle the weft material. I'm not using much force at all, just enough to tamp the material down. You can even use a large fork. We will now wrap the weft around the selvage, which are the last 4 warp strings on both ends. How many times you wrap around will depend on your piece. The idea is to make sure the Kilim and the selvage material stay level. Make sure you alternate the heddle stick each and every time. Let's repeat the process going from left to right. Do not pull too tight on the weft material. Otherwise, it will pull the selvage in and your piece won't look right. Here's what it looks like after 3 rows have been added with the little extra piece sticking out. Also, as you run out of material, just leave a piece a few inches long like shown and continue to weave. We will take care of these little pieces once we've finished the Kilim and have taken it down from the loom. We will continue to add more rows going back and forth in the blue color. Let's say we wanted to add a new color. We will begin by leaving a small piece again as shown. Let's assume our design called for only going partly across before changing colors again. You will need to make a note of the warp string which you plan to stop at. You can use a pencil to mark the string or tie a small piece of wool to make it easy to identify. This is what it looks like after a few rows have been added. Now we'll go back and fill in with the blue weft on the left side. Remember to use the adjacent warp string to go back and forth. We'll keep adding rows until we catch up with the other color. Note that with this style of weaving, it leaves a small slit between the two colors. This slit, if too big, will look like a hole in the Kilim. That is why you can't go too many rows. The Kilims woven in this style will typically have a geometric design to accommodate this challenge. Let's assume we're done with the red color. So we'll go all the way across this time with the blue weft. I want to show you another technique in changing colors. Let's assume the blue weft stops somewhere on the left. We'll mark the warp string using a pen or pencil. In this technique, both colors will share the same warp string. This method avoids leaving a slit between color changes. After we've laid one row of the blue weft, we go back and bring in the red. Remember, the blue and red weft will share the same warp string which we marked. As I mentioned before, this technique avoids this slit. However, since you're doubling up on the weft being passed around the same warp string, you can't do this for too many rows. Remember to keep track of the distance between your selvage and the loom. We will continue with adding blue warps to finish this Kilim. This is a good time to take care of any unevenness in your weft. There are many fine books and videos online providing detail on different styles used in weaving a Kilim. I will also add more videos in the future specifically designed to show those techniques. As I have mentioned earlier, the video you're watching now was designed to show the general technique of weaving a Kilim. In the next video, I will show you the finishing process of the Kilim. Good luck, and thank you for watching this video.